Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 5th round of the Division 3 season. We are 1/3 of the way through. And what a place to have this 5th round. The heart of the Ardennes Forest at the Circuit Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium. One of the most feared, revered, respected circuits in the entire world. You think of the great circuits of the world, you think of Silverstone, you think of Monza, you think of the Nürburgring, you think of Bathurst, at least in my opinion. And you think of Spa. Those are the ones that come to mind. And that is absolutely the case here. We got 19 drivers on our Division 3 grid. Love to see it. Love to see the numbers back up to where they should be. Quick note, Jean Carlos has a qualifying ban this week. I don't really know why, but that he does. Hotspot on the call for with you this time around, as you'd expect. Very interesting battle we have going in the Drivers' Championship. The two McLarens, Los Mendigos and Jaw 21-31, atop the table. McLaren 1-2. Mendigos leading his teammate by 8 points, 79-71. Fire Up Flow in also tied for second place with Jaw at 71 points, so it's a two-way tie for second place. Plums, who's I guess not in the championship anymore, is at 57. Call me maybe 56. Fuse Rogue 53. Valentine 46. Soy Loco 44. Gab 43. Fireball 32. So I tell you what, a lot of competition here in the top 10. Which you do just love to see. That part has to be said. As far as the constructor standings are concerned, McLaren leads it by 26 points. 150 to Haas's 124. 105 for Aston Martin. 94 for Alfa Romeo. Leads Williams by 1 at 93. Ferrari 58 leads Mercedes by 2 at 56. AlphaTauri and Red Bull tied for P8 at 26 apiece, and Alpine at 20. So it looks as if, realistically, I would say as long as you're in the top 5, you still got yourself a solid potential. Valentine telling me now that qualifying will be clear. Potentially some rain towards the back end of the race. On track first is that Ferrari of Jordi making his way out here in his beautiful Vegas liveried Ferrari. They haven't really gotten rid of the Vegas livery yet. I actually like it a lot more than the previous liveries. I think the yellow one was pretty good. The base one's really good. This is brilliant, this red and white. So he's going to be the first driver out on track tonight. Good thing about Spa, you've got a lot of clear track in and around you. But, not necessarily are you going to have time to have laps with mistakes on them. That's going to be huge for these drivers tonight, is really, getting the best out of their time to temps. You see, Jordi has invalidated his outlap here. What I think he's done there through Puhan, the double left of 10 and 11, I think is where he's gone off there. As I try to find a track map here. Apologies. I had one already, but it was like weird. It wasn't like appearing in my camera roll. Anyways, Jordi making his way through Curb Paul Freire now. Or Stavilo, I believe it's called. Either way, all the maps say different things, so I'm just going to kind of go off what I know here. Through Blanchimont, turns 16 and 17 here. And then in towards the final chicane here, turn 18. And it's a very tricky track to actually get a good, solid timed lap attempt on, because if you botch the exit out of the final chicane there, you're not going to get all the top speed you need into La Source, the first corner of the track, right at the apex of the corner. Brilliantly done. Bit of oversteer on exit, that has to be said. We're going to keep the telemetry on now, just to see where we're at for top speeds. Up through El Rouge and Radion then. Handles are very nice. Then in towards the DRS section here, going down the Camel Straight. Let's see where he hits at the braking zone here. Into the braking zone he goes. 214 miles an hour into the braking zone of Lacombe here. Nice and easy to the right-hander of Malmedy now. Maybe a little bit of oversteer there into Brussels. Oh, back end of the car has come around there slightly. He's been able to keep it under control. Into the no-name corner. Oh, another big snap of oversteer. He's managed to hold on to it. That one was really close through Pouon now. This is where he invalidated last time through. He's actually handled it pretty well. Exits Pouon into Lafont, I think is how you'd say. Less I don't know how to pronounce French. Anyways, into Campus and Stavolo then. Tricky couple of right-handers here. Got to watch out for the exit of the corner. That will get you both there and coming out of turn 15 at the end there. That wall on the outside does catch people by surprise. Through Blanchimont then. Pretty straightforward. Well, I say straightforward. Left-hander this. Sometimes you could take it flat out. Depends on how fresh those tires are. And finally into the bus stop chicane to end the lap. Looks like he's doing pretty well. Bit of oversteer on exit. Not bad. Across the line is going to be Jordi, 145.271. Behind him looks to be the Mercedes of Anso. Sorry, not Anso. It's actually Soy Loco on his way into the pits, who looks like as if he's did an outlap and then came back in. Slightly odd, but that's what he's done. I believe Gab is starting one now. Actually, Call Me Maybe finishes one, 144.900. His time there puts about 3.5 tenths of a second back to Jordi. That's a halfway decent lap. Coming through the final corner now, I believe is it's going to be the Williams of Freeman. On his way out of the bus stop chicane, DRS activated here to the line he goes. It's going to be P2, 145.049, tenth and a half behind at the moment. McLaren of Manigos behind him though. Current points leader, 144.097, puts 8 tenths of a second back to Call Me Maybe. That is a great attempt from him. Anto's actually gone P3, out-qualifies Freeman by 11 one-thousandths there, so very close between those two. Fire Up Flow has come across the line, although I believe this is going to be the lap to look out for him. On a lap behind, we do also still have Fuse Rogue, who has invalidated, unfortunately. The Red Bull of Gab will go along with now. He's Purple Sector 2 as he makes his way through Blanchimont. Has to be said, car looks pretty stable so far. Into the chicane. Now, really, you're going to tell who's got the setup correctly depending on how they exit the corner. Oversteer is so common, and there it is. Back end of the car kind of comes around, and he struggles getting on throttle. It's a great lap, though. 144.124. And you have to say, if it wasn't for that mistake at the end of the lap, I'm pretty sure he would be on provisional pole right now. He misses out by 3/100ths of a second back to Los Mandigos. That's a great effort from Gab, and I'm sure he's got more to offer. Next round of line looks to be the Ferrari of Fireball, who's going to be starting one here. Actually, no. Was that Jordi who's just come back around? Yes, it has. I believe this is going to be another lap to look out for Jordi. The AlphaTauri of Ayahuasca goes 142.228. Oh, by the way, nearly 2 seconds clear of Mandigos. That is an incredible lap. Ayahuasca last week in Abu Dhabi, of course, I'm sure you remember the fiasco that was the lobby with that. And Ayahuasca kind of, I would say, had a fair shot at the win, and then things happened, and it didn't end up that way. And he's looking for vengeance here today as the AlphaTauri, and I definitely believe he's going to be a driver to look out for. We do have an Alpine. I believe it's that of Texas Tornado going down, up through Radion at the moment. Telemetry is on. Let's go ahead and see what kind of speeds he's hitting here. DRS activated, gets about 200 by the time the Camel straightens out. At the braking zone, he's at 214, and he really was a bit later on the brakes that time than what we saw of Jordi. So 214, top speed we've seen so far, as now he goes through Malmedy and down the hill into Brussels. Very difficult right-hander, this. We've seen some great battles through that corner. It's part of the track. You don't really expect much to happen, but I tell you what, a lot goes on in this first end of the second sector here. Into the double left of Pouon now. Does he keep it within track limits? Well, I guess the game thought he did. I tell you what, that one was right close to being invalidated. Somehow he's kept the car on the track, and he's going to be able to keep this attempt for now. Let's see if he perhaps makes another mistake. I believe Jordi is coming to the line here shortly. He's actually gone P4, shaves another 6/10 of a second off his previous time. Around the final corner now, I believe, is the AlphaTauri of Ayahuasca. I believe he's on his way in. Yes, he is. Red Bull of P. Gonzalez is about to start a timed lap here. Mercedes of Soy Loco about to come on through. P. Gonzalez, remember, had the qualifying ban. Texas Tornado through the final chicane. DRS activated here. This looks a very good lap here from Texas Tornado. At the line he goes. It's P2, 144.018. Improves, beats Manigos there by about 1/10 of a second. Still 1.8 behind that of Ayahuasca. What a lap that's going to be to conquer from him. And now on track is that of Soy Loco. He is on the soft tires. Let's see what kind of times he's hitting. Looks like Freeman is retired. That's at the end of the Kemmel Straight here. Into the braking zone. He did temporarily max out there at 215. We'll give it to him. So the fastest top speed we've seen so far. I'd be interesting to see what that top speed is on the AlphaTauri on his next attempt, because I tell you what, 1.7 seconds the gap. He's either got this circuit mastered to a T, or that car is definitely superior on the straight line, perhaps. We'll have to wait and see when he comes back around next time. 8:25 remaining here. Soy Loco has taken poo on that time. It's slightly, I don't want to say lackadaisical, but he's made sure that he hasn't invalidated, and that is so crucial to your time then. Alfa Romeo of Alvarado on his way. We've got the Haas of Call Me Maybe coming through. I don't know if he's on an outlap or a time lap. I believe he's on a time lap as he makes his way up through Radion. Ferrari off to the inside. Looks a pretty good lap so far from Soy Loco. Let's see if he can finish it off with a good trek through this final chicane. Looks as if he's handling his car very well. Oversteer on exit. Does he hold it together? He does. He's actually going to go second, 143, 141. And you have to say, again, if it wasn't for that slight slip coming out of the final corner, you'd have to believe he would be within half a second there. Very good effort from Soy Loco. And, you know, again, Spa's a very long lap, a minute 42. Not a lot of time to get your car back in and back out on track. We got 7 minutes and 15 seconds remaining here. Is that going to be enough to put together some good attempts? Speaking of attempts, this one belonging to Fuse Rogue. Let's go along with him here, as now he makes his way out of La Source, down the Support Series pit straight, up through Erosion Radion then. Tops the hill, 187 miles an hour going through the top of the hill like that. Unbelievable. DRS activated. Fuse Rogue into the braking zone. He'll max at 215 by the time he goes in. Through Malmedy then. Looks a very good lap so far, has to be said. The Williams has yet to put together a timed attempt. Feel like Fuse Rogue, a very solid driver in his own right. Sometimes I think he maybe just, you know, kind of doesn't have the best luck at times. Makes his way through the double left with Pouon then in towards Stavilo. At the moment, Fuse Rogue, yeah. I mean, P6 in the championship, he's, you know, relatively in battle for promotion. He won the first round in Brazil. Since then, it kind of feels like, I don't want to say he's been rather silent, but we haven't seen his name towards the top as much as we'd like. Coming into the final chicane now, let's see if he's able to put together a solid end to this attempt. Holds it very nicely on exit. Coming to the line, Fuse Rogue 142, 525, still off by 0.3 of a second. Ayahuasca, 5.5 minutes remaining here, and you have to think Ayahuasca's time looks rather unbeatable at the moment. We do have the Mercedes of Anto making his way into the chicane here. I don't think this is going to be a lap to hold on to necessarily from the Mercedes. Behind him is the Aston Martin of Fire Up Flow, who has yet to put together a competitive time. Anto goes P12. Fire Up Flow has actually gone P4 in his Aston Martin, about 0.8 of a second off. Top three at the moment separated by 0.3 of a second. Through the final paces of the lap is the McLaren of Mandigo, so I believe might be on his way back in. No, sorry, that's the other McLaren of Jaw. We do have Fireball coming to the line now. Either that or he's just started one. It's a 144 something or another, still P11. Currently occupies the 6th row with his teammate. Next up is it the... Well, I tell you what. Alvarado is purple sector 2 at the moment. Looks like Tin Man the Rowdy's actually just gone P6. That's who we were looking to go along with. But Tin Man P6, it's a very solid attempt. Now the top 5 separated by a second. exits the final corner. Look how well he held that line. It's not going to be the most competitive time. It's going to be P11 for Alvarado, 1:44.214. That is a fair attempt, though. He seems like he's kept it clean, and that's very important. Coming around the final paces of the lap now, I believe it's one of the Williams drivers. It's going to be that of Fuse Rogue on his way in. Behind them, we've got Aston Martin Fire Up Flow. That's the Alpine of Final Flame, who's on low fuel. Behind him is the Red Bull of Gab, who looks to be on its... Well, I would say he's on a time lap. He's actually not. Anto coming back around here. We're going to see a lot of drivers flock to the track here within this next minute or so. Only, what is that, 3 and a bit minutes. Not a lot of time. They're going to have to get some laps going here. That part's for sure. Gab is going to go into the pits behind him. It looks like the Ferrari of Fireball is either on his way into the pits here or he's getting ready to start one. He's going to go into the pits. Behind them we have, well, I tell you what, Anso looks like he's going to be on his way in here. His teammate of Soy Loco making his way through Malmedy now. He's on an outlap, as well as the Ferrari of Jorday. Also includes Texas Tornado, and now the man of the session so far, Ayahuasca, who, for all intents and purposes, he has been absolutely untouchable so far. Closest someone's been to him was Soy Loco earlier on. And now Final Flame, 2.5 of a second away. Ayahuasca here making his way the Kemmel Straight. This will be the outlap to, or the lap to pay attention to, really. Also now, we've got the Aston Martin of Valentine, who I believe is starting one here. McLaren of Jaw, Williams of Fuse Rogue, making a way up the hill through Eau Rouge. Jaw on the outlap. I think Valentine, has he either finished one? No, he's still on one here. Soy Loco coming through the final paces of the lap now. Believe we'll start this with Soy Loco. We'll circle our way through with Call Me Maybe. Texas Tornado is in this queue as well. He currently occupies P8, and he's making his way up the hill. So Soy Loco starting one now. Let's see if Soy Loco can put together a good one here as he makes his way into Lacombe. Sorry, not Lacombe, La Source. Close enough. The Haas of Call Me Maybe starting his time lap now. Soy Loco. 196 on the way into Eau Rouge. That is ridiculous, and I tell you what, he's held the speed quite nicely on the way out. Yellow flag at Blanchimont, then I believe it's the AlphaTauri getting out of the way for Valentine. Oh, I missed the top speed there. Soy Loco 7/100ths faster through the sector so far. Texas Tornado is going to be coming through, I don't want to say shortly, but rather shortly. Ayahuasca getting queued up for his final attempt here. Let's just go along and see. I'm very interested in seeing his top speed when he gets to the top of the hill. Behind him, the McLaren of, it's either Manigo, well, both Manigos and Jaw are coming together to start one here, as well as the Williams of Fuse Rogue. And then the Alpine, finally, of Texas Tornado. Ayahuasca up the hill, 188 miles an hour. DRS activated here. So the line is Texas Tornado goes P4. Top speed for Ayahuasca peaks at 2:15 again. That's about the top speed we've seen so far, but next up is Fuse Rogue. Final Flame has gone second. That's all he can manage. Fuse Rogue at the top speed, 2:14. Next up through the final paces is Soy Loco, who at the moment, he's coming in. He's not ended up liking his lap, and that'll be it. Call Me Maybe, 6.5 better through Sector 2. DRS activated for the Haas here. Call Me Maybe will go P7. Doesn't improve all that much. Texas Tornado's done all he can do. Final Flame is coming in now. Next around the... Oh, goodness me! Well, that is the McLaren then of Jaw, who, unfortunately for him, as we're going to go along with his teammate here, I don't know where he's crashed that car. I think it's coming out of the no-name corner. That car is no longer in one piece. That part's for sure. I think Ayahuasca maybe had a moment there going through, going into Stavilo. Coming to the final paces of the lap now. Valentine in through the chicane. He's not on a fast enough lap for his liking. Believe Fuse Rogue coming through the final paces of the lap, although doesn't look like this is going to be a competitive one here for the Williams. He has backed off, and Ayahuasca has invalidated, and that will be the end of his qualifying session. Can Mandigos find a good enough lap here? He is 0.6 of a second quicker through the second sector. My math puts him at about P5 at the moment. Fuse Rogue is retired going through Stavilo. To the line goes Mandigos. It's P6, 143.095. Improves by nearly a full second, but it's not going to be enough. Gab coming through. He's into the pits now. Both the Ferraris are done. Texas Tornado still on track, although he's on low fuel. So it is the Alpha Tauri of Ayahuasca, who I believe for the second week in a row will take pole position, this time at Spa, a track where being at the front and staying out of trouble is going to mean so much in the Grand Prix. I tell you what, about 7 drivers within that second window, but it is a quarter of a second alone between the top 2 spots. Ayahuasca's, he means business here. So your starting grid then for the Belgian Grand Prix. It's Ayahuasca on pole by a quarter of a second over Final Flame in the Alpine. Fuse Rogue in the Williams in third. Fourth, Texas Tornado. Great result from the Alpine so far. Fire Up Flow fifth. Mandigo sixth. Soy Loco seventh. Eighth is Call Me Maybe. Ninth is Tin Man. 10th, Valentine. 11th, Gab. 12th, Alvarado. 13th. It's a 7th row lockout for the Ferraris. Fireball 13th. Jordan 14th. Anto 15th. Freeman 16th. Jean Carlos didn't put together a time. P. Gonzalez had a qualifying ban, and Jaw, I believe, retired on his final attempt. So those 3 drivers do not have times. Well, a second separates the top 7 drivers, but the margin between first place and second place is not all that close. Everywhere else should be some great battling. But let's see if Ayahuasca's domination can continue. So here we are then, ladies and gentlemen, the formation lap underway. Like to remind you that Midwest F1 and the entirety of the Esports League brought to you by Epos Audio. And perhaps later down the line, Midwest gives you wings. Nothing confirmed, but still. Funny one to look onto. Majority of the grid here choosing the medium tires. All but, 6 drivers have chosen the medium tires, those 6 being Final Flame, starting second. He's going to have a lot of work to do here. Ayahuasca obviously is very quick, so I think Final Flame being aggressive here off the start. Jordan, Anso, Freeman all on the softs, John Carlos on the hards, and Gonzalez on the softs. Everybody else has chosen the mediums, and I'm thinking those being on the softs probably isn't a bad idea. You know, Spa's one of those races where you could pretty much count on a safety car, being relatively in play. So I think that being said, it's going to depend on where Ayahuasca lines up on the front row here. I think realistically he's got a great chance of holding and maintaining the front row into the corner. It's going to depend on how aggressive the cars are behind him. Lap 9 to 10, you're stopped from the softs to the mediums there, according to the game. Medium to hards was around lap, what did that say, 14 or so, something like that. It's going to be a very big question here. How aggressive do the drivers get behind? That is going to be a huge question on my mind, because if Ayahuasca doesn't have the good line into the corner, if he has that outside line, he may have Final Flame, perhaps even Fuse Rogue or Texas Tornado try to find their way up to the inside, and on their way trying to hunt for that first spot. I'm assuming we're probably going to have some contact into this first corner. I'm hoping everything stays clean, but you never know. Ayahuasca then, the driver who last week I felt had a really good opportunity to win the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That lobby was beyond messed up, I think, at the end of the day. Lots of desync for a lot of drivers. And so I think realistically, this is going to be the race where we can really judge how well this guy does. And by the way, he's not in any lack of fast company here. Final Flame, Fuse Rogue, Texas Tornado. Really anybody in the top 7 here. I think Call Me Maybe's on the verge of that as well. They're very fast in their own right. all drivers that find themselves towards the podium a lot of the time, and a lot of it really is just being consistent with that. I feel like drivers outside of that list there, sometimes it really is just being more consistent than they've been. Ayahuasca here is going to have the inside line into the first corner. He's been disqualified, so Final Flame also being disqualified there, so Fuse Rogue may have himself an advantage here. But the AlphaTauri has the inside line. That's going to help him a lot, I think, into this first corner. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be the case. Oh, man. Carnage could very well be afoot here, as the grid hopefully starting to form up. Here we go. Dearie me, this camera angle is preposterously bad. Here we go. Here, ladies and gentlemen, we have 5 lights on, and they are off here in Spa. Ayahuasca does get a good start, but to his outside, Final Flame looks as if he's gotten just a better one. Fuse Rogue, I think he wanted to look down to the inside. Yeah, that's the Aston Martin. A Fire of Flow has really tried to dive in there. He's had to go wide. Virtual safety car already. We've not even hardly made it out of the first corner. Somebody has lost a front wing. Oh, and it's a big accident behind. Looks as if the Williams of Freeman has gone around and collected several drivers in the safety car out now, as several drivers are missing their front wings. Freeman, Tin Man the Rowdy, and I think maybe, yep, there's the McLaren of Jaw, who just picked up a 5-second time penalty. Front wings litter the circuit, and that will be the reason for the safety car here. I believe that Ferrari of Jordi as well. 4 confirmed cars with front wings missing. I hate to see safety car come out. That is a very fair reason for the safety car to come out right there. Yeah, I don't know. There was quite the conundrum there at the back. I think a lot of just moving and shoving about. You know, thankfully nobody retired from the session. As you can see here, Freeman, Tin Man. I believe that's also the Haas there of Jean Carlos missing the end plate on the left front side. Yep, that's gone too. Gonzalez looks fine. The McLaren of Jaw. The Ferrari of Jordi. A lot of cars missing front wing here, so there's your stop. 10 to 14, medium to hard. So the hards last a good minute, but are we sure they're going to be able to last this long, 21 laps? Essentially the entire length of the Grand Prix here. And you never know. Maybe stopping for the hards now is not a bad idea, considering that, according to Valentine, we may expect rain towards the end of the session. So stop now, put on the hards. Wait it out as long as you can and hope the rain happens before you have to pit for another set of tires. But I think Final Flame really had a good think about that, decides to stay out, as well as Ayahuasca. I think the only drivers coming in here will be those who needed the front wing change. It does look as if everybody's staying out. Jordi's on his way in naturally. It looks as if Jaw on his way in. Jean Carlos will be. Tin Man and eventually Freeman. So 5 cars on their way in. Everybody else decides to stay out and try to, I think, maybe wait it out as much as they can. I think even if you're on the mediums at this point, you know, the safety car does take up time. You know, we expect lap times in the 140s under green flag conditions, under safety car, may take well over 2.5 minutes. So, you know, by my math there, that rain could show up a lot earlier than I think a lot of these drivers expect, so maybe those medium tires aren't a bad idea. Probably going to take some time for the grid to get caught up to itself here. I'm going to step aside. Valentine has pinged me really quick. Sorry about that. Yeah, Valentine's just double-checking to me if we have ourselves a glitched lobby, which it doesn't look immediately like it is. I will say the tail end of the grid here slightly catching up pretty quick. Let's see if they can get caught up by the time the safety car makes its way to the Sector 3 timing line, which that's where it decides on if it's going to come in or not. So we'll have to wait and see. It looks like they're almost there. So maybe do we get the safety car in at the end of this lap and it's a 1-lap safety car? That'd be great. Grid looks as if it's all caught up. Safety car at the moment still on track. So despite the carnage in the early going there, we still have all 19 drivers attached to the grid. Safety car looks as if it's going to stay out one more time. I'll step aside until it decides to come back in. So the safety car has decided it'll make its way in at the end of this lap. Questions being arisen to the lobby host of Valentine. It seems as if there may have been glitching on his end, which could have played a part in the carnage at the back, apparently, especially surrounding Tin Man the Rowdy. We didn't get that good of a look at the incident. Well, for the sake of the benefit of the doubt here, let's assume it's just down to that turn one, as it typically is. A lot of position changing, not that much as far as up and down much. Gonzalez up 4, Alvarado up 3, Tin Man down 8. Those are the biggest movers in both directions. Looks as if Final Flame is going to try to get them going quite early here, making his way into the chicane. Remember, you got to wait for the safety car to be in the pit lane or else the game slows you down. Back to green flag racing we go. Final Flame will have the line in the corner here as they make their way. Yellow flag towards the back. I'm not sure what the case is with that incident. Remember, Final Flame took the lead from Ayahuasca whilst the safety car came out. That was coming out of the first corner because we had the virtual safety car, then it got upgraded. So Final Flame will lead the grid up Eau Rouge then for the first time under racing speeds this Grand Prix as they makes his way now down the Camel Straight. Ayahuasca in pursuit, and he is closing in. Is he going to be able to find a move down to the inside? He's surely going to look for it. And yeah, he's going to have a peek, but into Lacombe this early in the race would be quite ballsy to say the least. We do have an incident atop Eau Rouge. It's Freeman off in the barriers exiting the support series pit lane there. Looks as if he's avoided any wing damage, but that's very unfortunate for him. He's got a long way to go now back to the rest of the grid. Final Flame still leads, exiting No Name Corner into Puan, then the double left. You do sometimes see oversteer and cars going awry through that section of the track, as it looks as if we got the Red Bull of Gab. Something has happened with him. Car going relatively slowly here. It's missing the end plate on the right front side. Alvarado now in the barriers off of Puan. It looks like maybe as he lost the car, and that car has backed itself into the fence. Could very well be the case, and the day for the Alfa Romeos goes from bad to worse. Meanwhile, Final Flame has 7.5 tenths over Ayahuasca. His teammate of Texas Tornado brings up P3, about a clean second behind the AlphaTauri, as he's under pressure here from Fuse Rogue. Fuse knows better. He's not necessarily going to take it gutsy here early on. Giancarlo's 5 seconds for ignoring yellow flag. I'm not sure what the case is with that. But Tin Man and Gab battling it out there as now we complete our first full racing lap here. As Ayahuasca's going to have a look down to the inside. Won't have any room to make it happen as Fuse Rogue went for it on Texas Tornado into La Source and made it happen. Very nicely done from the Williams driver. And I thought Manigos was having a move there, or Soy Loco was going to have a move on Manigos. It wasn't the case. Looks as if he wasn't close enough. Texas Tornado nearly losing the car coming off of Radion, and now it's going to be a drag race into Lacombe then. Ayahuasca's not close enough. In fact, it looks as if he's more or less breaking the toe to the Williams behind than he is trying to pressure the Alpine ahead, as we have the Ferrari of Jourdain, who's gone off at the top of Radion. Very similar to how Freeman went off last time round. Again, thankfully, it doesn't look as if he's hit anything or gotten serious damage, but another huge off then. Working up a slight bit of a cold. Oh, and we have Anto, who's gone off. This time it's coming out of Malmedy. And that car has either been helped into that inside wall or has completely lost it on the outside curb. Very odd place to lose a car, but Anto, his day is done. And the safety car on track here yet again. So that will mean our first retirement of the day belongs to the Mercedes of Anto, who, again, that's a really weird place to lose the car. Either he's had a hell of a lot of oversteer, the back end's just really come around coming out of Malmedy, or he's had help. Safety car breed his other safety car, so, that could be the case. But now as we're about to enter the 6th lap, yes, Final Flame does come in. So does Ayahuasca and Fuse Rogue and Texas Tornado and Mandigos and Soy Loco and Fire Up Flow and Call Me Maybe. Goodness me, I didn't expect to see this many drivers in the pit lane here. Ayahuasca on his way in. He's got the end of the pit stall here. I'm going to assume it's going to be hard tires for him. No, it's the softs. The softs for Ayahuasca. Does that tell me the rain is coming in 10 minutes or less? When you see drivers put on soft tires there at this stage of the Grand Prix, that tells me the weather might be on its way. Final Flame has taken the hards. Ayahuasca's taken the softs. Fuse Rogue has taken the hard. Tornado's taken the hard. Mandigos is taking the hard. Soy Loco on the hards. John Carlos mediums. Fire Up Flow. Sorry, John Carlos was on the mediums. He stayed out. So it looks like, well, I tell you what, Valentine on the softs as well. Oh, Jorday is retired. Well, that being in the pit lane, thankfully enough, goodness me, that one got close to looking detrimental there. But it looks as if starting, I think I may have perhaps overreacted to Ayahuasca's pit stop then, because he's gone on the softs. He's only one of 3 drivers to pit for that off compound. Everybody else has taken the hards, which we kind of expected to be the tire. And I saw Ayahuasca pit for the softs. I really thought we were going to get that weather soon. As it turns out, he really wants the lead back by the time the weather does come out. And that's the case with the AlphaTauri safety car on track. I'm going to have to step aside again. Yikes. A lot happening here in the early going. Safety car will be in on its way in at the end of this lap. Oh, what the hell is this? Gonzalez is off at the back of the grid. While we were away, Freeman has retired. Whether he has lost the... What the hell? John Carlos has gone off now. John Carlos is off in the barriers. On the outside, he's beached the car. He is allowed to reset to track if to get that car back underway. Hopefully he doesn't become disqualified here. And there he is. That car beached, going through curb Paul Freire at Stavolo. So, Freeman had retired. We're not really sure how he did it, but it was at the top of Arouge and Radion. That car, he's either retired on track or he's absolutely binned it there. Either one is a probable answer. Back to green flag racing here. Final Flame leads the grid. 9/10 of a second. Ayahuasca on their way into the corner. Jean Carlos has left the session. Looks like Valentine and Tin Man battling it out here. We may have had a car slip towards the back. It looks as if it was Jaw. Valentine looks as if he's gotten around somebody there, perhaps. Valentine, 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag, as it turns out. It is 5.5 tenths in closing here as they make their way down the Kemmel Straight. Ayahuasca getting closer, but not quite close enough yet to make anything happen overtaking-wise. As we look back, Alvarado getting around Fireball. It looks like Tin Man the Rowdy has gotten around Call Me Maybe on the way into Lacombe. That is a really gutsy place to make it happen. Getting nearer towards halfway through the Grand Prix. We've spent a considerable amount under safety cars so far. It's 0.4 of a second in closing here. Ayahuasca needs to keep it clean. He knows Final Flame is on the less grippy compound of tires, the slower compound. Ayahuasca, this is premium, this is prime real estate for him to try and get back that lead. But at the moment, Final Flame is doing well. He is not necessarily closing this gap. Fuse Rogue isn't necessarily closing in behind. He is what it looks to be under pressure then from Texas Tornado, more or less, as they make their way through Blanchimont now. And now look at this, Ayahuasca tries it. Oh, he's in the grass. Oh, and Final Flame. Thankfully, Ayahuasca has stayed on... Well, he's been able to keep the car under grips there, but Final Flame may look at a penalty from that. By word of the rule, any deviation from the racing line that impedes the forward progress of a driver could warrant a penalty, and Final Flame may have to account for that, as I don't think he's done it on purpose necessarily. Maybe he's caught oversteer, maybe he thought Ayahuasca wasn't close, but he has absolutely impeded the AlphaTauri then, And the AlphaTauri nearly found the barriers, is now right up against the gearbox. Tries to switch back down to the inside, sends him the dummy. Does he try back to the outside? No! He's going to stick with the inside, and side by side into Lacombe as they go. Ayahuasca's going to have the better line around the corner. Does he get it? Yes, he does! Great move from Ayahuasca, and now it'll be interesting to see if he can get any further away in the clean air. As we have a yellow flag at the back, it looks as if it's one of the two Red Bulls. It's that of Gab, who's gone off at Lacombe. Thankfully, it doesn't look as if he's hit anything. But either way, the Red Bulls now relegated to the final two spots on the grid, P14 and 15. Texas Tornado, our first driver of the day, I believe, to pick up a time penalty for 3 seconds for exceeding track limits. I believe that was at the double left of Puhan. It's 0.2 of a second here, final flame. I tell you what, despite being on that harder compound tires, he's given Ayahuasca a run for his money here, and this has allowed Fuse Rogue into the battle for this top 3. Texas Tornado behind, he does have the penalty, but still a lot of time left in the race. I would fully assume that he's going to be here. He's going to be trying to make something happen. Here's Final Flame. Tries it on the left side. And I think Ayahuasca has simply outbraked him there. Good defensive from Ayahuasca, who really, I don't really think was expecting to come under that much pressure on the way into the chicane. DRS is going to be enabled for the first time today as they make their way into La Source. They'll have it exiting Radion, and on the Kemmel Straight, looks like Jaw has lost several spots. He's lost it to both Call Me Maybe and Alvarado. As they make their way up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion onto the Kemmel Straight, then DRS activated. Ayahuasca is not going to have much defense here. He's going to drift towards the left side of the circuit. Oh, and Final Flame is really going to have to let off there. I think he knew he was going to be in trouble as Soy Loco gets around Mendigos what appeared to be rather easily even before they got to Lacombe. As we go back, Call Me Maybe has lost 2 spots, both to Alvarado and Jaw is going to try it. He was side by side there with Alvarado momentarily. Cars were phasing through one another there. It was slightly hard to tell what had happened. For the time being, Ayahuasca still has the lead of the Grand Prix. By the way, again, we are expecting, according to our lobby host of Valentine, we are perhaps expecting rain towards the back end of this session. So it'll be interesting to see how long that actually happens. We've had 2 safety cars so far. That would lead me to believe we're going to be getting it around probably even that 15 lap mark. We'll have to wait and see. The clouds haven't really begun forming quite yet. I mean, they're there, but they're not rain clouds. 0.3 of a second between these two. We'll tag along with them in a little bit. Fire Up Flow on the back of Mendigos here, the point leader, as they make their way through the chicane. Down towards the first corner they go. More importantly, Jaw's going to try the switch back on Tin Man here. Almost gets into the back of the Alfa Romeo. We'll tag along with them in a little bit. Ayahuasca will now lead the grid up through Rouge and Radion, and it looks as if Final Flame is going to need to have a simply better exit because Ayahuasca's put a half a second on him, and here he goes. Final Flame on his way now, DRS activated. I don't think he has enough real estate to make it happen. He's going to really commit to that outside. Ayahuasca's going to outbrake him on the inside, and with a yellow flag, Tin Man has lost it atop Radion. Yes, he has. He's off to the inside. Thankfully enough, the track stays green. Fire Up Flow getting around Soy Loco that time. That was at the top of Eau Rouge then. And I'm a little surprised we stayed green. Thankfully, the car was off the circuit, off the racing surface, but still very close. As Final Flame, look how close these two are, making their way through Puan then. Final Flame all over the gearbox of the AlphaTauri here. He's got to stay absolutely calm. Nerves of steel if he wants to make this one happen. Halfway through at the line this time by. Despite the safety car, it's been a great race. No DRS here through Blanchimont, but surely the battery will be being used. Final Flame's going to try to commit to the outside. Will Ayahuasca push him near the grass? That's what Ayahuasca had to deal with from Final Flame last time. Final Flame's going to try to commit to the left side on the way into the chicane. Ayahuasca's going to outbreak him, but does Final Flame have enough to switch back down to the inside? The answer's going to be no for now, but with DRS down the pit straight here into La Source, look how close they are. Piece of paper width at most, and Final Flame tries to outbreak him into La Source. Ayahuasca has the outside, but Final Flame does get the position. Very nicely done, and now, does that open the door for Fuse Rogue to get into a spot to perhaps tag along to the back of this battle here? Texas Tornado a little bit further behind, but still relatively close and at least within DRS range. DRS activated here for both the Williams and the AlphaTauri. Does Ayahuasca have enough to make anything happen on the Alpine? No, not now. We'll check back with them in a minute. It looks as if the kind of midfield here has slightly spread itself out just a little bit more. Well, that was quite the glitch that time from Valentine. Kind of the first one we've seen today. Fuse Rogue here, 0.5 of a second. Ayahuasca now has actually lost about 0.4 since coming out of the Kemmel straight. Soy Loco, 3-second penalty, multiple warnings, second driver today. Ayahuasca now outside of the second window. Either the softs are losing pace or he's made somewhat of a mistake, or Final Flame is really just that in control. Very well could be either of those three options. Valentine within a couple of tenths here of Soy Loco. Let's see as they exit Curb Paul Frere. If I can pronounce that correctly. Again, I don't know French. Valentine on the 5-second penalty for ignoring the yellow flag. On the soft compound tires, really getting close to the inside there. Ayahuasca's on his way in, and I have a feeling Valentine's not going to be all that far behind as the AlphaTauri, the first driver to pit. Remember, he went onto the softs, which was what we thought the rain was going to be happening there. When we saw him put on the softs, we thought he was going to be able to last it out. Not the case. He's going to go for the mediums. That'll surely get him at least... well, maybe to the end, maybe at least to the point where the weather comes into play, and he'll be into about the midfield here. He's going to come out battling the Alfa Romeo of Alvarado and the Haas of Call Me Maybe. The cat nearly just knocked my phone off the desk here, and I made an amazing catch. Soy Loco being overtaken by Valentine to the outside. Soy Loco not with DRS to the car ahead. And now both Aston Martin drivers find themselves in the top 6. So a great day so far from the Aston Martins, even better from the Alpines, who, by the way, desperately need the points. Currently find themselves at the back end of the table. The McLarens, remember, Los Manigos, your point leader, over his teammate by less than 10 points. Here's a look here. Penalties once more. Texas Tornado, 3-second penalty. Soy Loco, 3. And Valentine on 5. Looks like Ayahuasca here really close to Call Me Maybe as they make their way in towards Lafong now. Oh, look at this. Oh! And I hate to say it, but Ayahuasca has put Call Me Maybe in the wall and out of the Grand Prix. Little bit too aggressive from the AlphaTauri that time. And you could see as soon as he made contact with the Haas, he let off the gas. He knew that he had made just a little bit too much that time, and just that little bit was enough to send the Haas into the barriers. And that is going to be one unhappy Haas team who leave today with no points attached to their name. Drivers flocking into the pits now. Fuse Rogue to the mediums. Final Flame looks like he's already stopped as he put on mediums. Yes, he has. Texas Tornado, we'd assume the mediums. Yes. Mandigos medium, Fire Up Flow medium, Soy Loco. Soy Loco medium as well. Jaw medium, Alvarado medium. Valentine, we'd assume the mediums as well, most likely. Yep. Fireball mediums, Gonzalez, I would assume mediums as well, and then Gab medium. So I think we're going to have a full grid here on the medium tires. Yes, we are. All 13 still on track, now occupying the medium compound. Final Flame leads the grid here on our third safety car of the day. I'll step aside yet again here. Been some great racing so far. We'll see if it carries on to the back end of the Grand Prix. So the safety car will be in at the end of this lap. Final Flame leads Fuse Rogue, Texas Tornado, Ayahuasca, and Los Mendigos make up your top 5. Remember, Ayahuasca pit earlier on, so he was able to stay out under that safety car pit stop. Reminder that Texas Tornado still on 3 seconds of penalty, as well as Soy Loco here. So we'll move to the penalty screen. Final Flame here. He's had himself a great day so far, no doubting that. He's been the only driver that, on true pace, has been able to make his way to battle Ayahuasca so far. It's been a very impressive day, and it looks as if he's going to be back up to green here again as he makes his way into the chicane. Cat, I swear to God, if you start biting my headphone wire, it's not going to be pretty. Just kidding. Final Flame here. On his way into La Source, he's going to lead Fuse Rogue. It looks as if the only battling happening here, looks like maybe the Alfa Romeo had a look down to the inside of the McLaren of Jaw. Still kind of there. Valentine, Valentine and Fireball have gone way off the track. Perhaps contact there on their way through the first corner, and that one is going to result in both drivers falling well to the back of the grid. As Fuse Rogue, within 2.5 tenths now of Final Flame. He's not going to have it into Lacombe this time, but it looks as if Soy Loco will over Fire Up Flow. They're still side by side as they're going to head towards Malmedy and Brussels now. And now Jaw down to the inside of the Aston Martin. Whoa, Soy Loco got way out of shape there. Managed to keep the car under control. It'll be side by side into Brussels for these two. How did Jaw find that much grip on the inside of the corner? Brilliant. Oh, but contact there, and they're still side by side, these two. And somehow, well, Jaw's going to get 3 seconds for multiple warnings, and you could argue that he's relatively overtaken the Aston Martin off track there. So maybe if Jaw ends up keeping that position, Fire Up Flow would have he would have a case with the stewards and saying, look, Jaw has overtaken me off of the racing surface. He should have to give that spot back. And I tell you what, may very well be the case. Valentine picks up 3 seconds for multiple warnings. He served his previous 5-second penalty in his pit stop under safety car. So Final Flame will continue to have the lead of the Grand Prix here. You have 6 laps to go this time by. To the line they go. Fuse Rogue in position now. Final Flame fastest lap so far. What a day it's been for the Alpine team. Qualified 2nd and 4th, now find themselves 1st and 3rd. Ayahuasca in pursuit, but I tell you what, not necessarily closing in on the Alpine here. He's actually more under pressure from Mendigos for the 4th spot. It's going to be very interesting as the grid makes their way up through Al Rouge and Radillon then. Fuse Rogue down the Kemmel Straight. Is he going to be able to find the slipstream here of Final Flame as they make their way into Lacombe? Oh, it's going to be close, but no, he doesn't have the room to make it happen. Behind them, it does look as if the Red Bull's inverting positions there. Nobody else really within ground to make a move. As they make their way through Brussels and into the no-name corner. And it looks as if for now, the clouds starting to cover up. I mean, the clouds are definitely coming into play now. Again, Valentine informed me there is a possibility of weather at the end of the session. Whether or not it gets here, pun intended, that's going to be the different story. As for now, it still looks as if it's relatively clear enough to where we may not even see rain towards the end of the session like we were expecting. Jaw had a little bit of bump on Soy Loco that time. While we were under safety car, Ayahuasca has apologized to Call Me Maybe. Accidental was the contact that it involved Call Me Maybe getting shunted into the barriers. Which we kind of figured as well, because Ayahuasca was doing really good, and then suddenly he made the contact, and as soon as he saw the car go off track and find the barriers, he kind of slowed down. You know, he kind of could see, he knew he made the mistake. And he'll most likely pay with it for a 5-second time penalty. Once stewards' reports come out later in the week. It's 0.5 of a second. Fire Up Flow to Jaw. Jaw to Soy Loco. Ayahuasca trying to pressure Texas Tornado, who has lost the DRS to Fuse Rogue. In fact, he's lost it by nearly an additional 2 seconds, as Jaw getting around Soy Loco then well before they get their way into Lacombe. Nicely done then from the McLaren. Soy Loco, 3-second time penalty. That puts him up to 6. It's 0.3 of a second here between Texas and Ayahuasca as they make their way into No Name Corner. 1 second the gap between Final Flame and Fuse. And I tell you what, if Fuse loses DRS, it's not going to be very helpful for him. Fire Up Flow within 0.4 of Soy Loco here, despite Soy Loco having the penalty. Fire Up Flow, I tell you what, the results aren't going to show it, but this guy's got a fair bit of pace on him. And I tell you what, if he can continue to put together some good results and some consistency and throw in some podiums, very promising driver, this guy, from the early indications, has to be said. I think this is probably one of the first races, if not the first, that have commentated on him. And here he is down to the inside of Soy Loco going through Blanchemont. But I tell you what, he's done well. I know the results aren't going to prove that, but if he stays clean, he may pick up some places with penalties, and he'll get himself a top 5, and that'll be A-okay in my book. Ayahuasca 3.5 tenths here to Texas Tornado. On the way into the corner. Oh, all the way down low. Side by side, and he wanted to make the move. Oh, but now Manny goes around the outside. Oh, please tell me they're going to go side by side up through Eau Rouge. Oh, there's no way. Who's got the camera angle? It's all... Oh, but they make contact. Well, I tell you what, they did make contact. I don't know how the hell they got through that one okay. Because Mandigos was on the left side and definitely went careening into the side of the AlphaTauri there, as he's going to find the left side around Texas Tornado. And, by the way, Final Flame has now opened up a 2 and nearly a half-second gap over Fuse Rogue. This battle here for the 3rd spot, although Texas Tornado with the time penalty, it's not going to help him. We're going to have 3 laps to go this time by. And what has been actually a pretty entertaining Belgian Grand Prix here. Safety car for sure, but when we're not under safety car, the racing has been very good. As Mandigos, I think, bottomed out on the curb on the way into the double left at Puhan. And that car has lost some time and is now under pressure from his teammate at Jaw. By the way, again, these two, 1 and 2 in the championship. Jaw down by less than 10 points to his teammate. Massive implications. I know Jaw's got the penalty, but either way, he would definitely love to get Mandigos here and to show him that this is going to be one hell of a championship fight between the two of them. It's 3.5 tenths here between Texas and Ayahuasca as they go through Blanchemont. In towards the bus stop chicane here. Texas isn't close enough to make something happen. 3 laps to go. The clouds are forming. Oh, Mandigos has gone out of shape there. And Jaw, well, I tell you what, I think Jaw wanted to have something. But unfortunately, he was really close to his teammate. And needed to back off as well to make sure that he wasn't going to hit his teammate. And I think that's the reason Jaw hasn't taken that spot. Through Eau Rouge and Radion they go. Texas Tornado 0.5 of a second and closing on Ayahuasca here. Jaw within 0.2 of Mandigos. He's going to look for it around the left side. What a turn of events this would be here. Texas Tornado and Ayahuasca side by side, as you can see in the top of your picture then. Texas Tornado has gotten around Ayahuasca and Jaw has gotten around Mandigos. As we have a yellow flag and Fireball is retired. Exiting Radion and onto the Camel Straight. Unfortunately, I think we're too late in the race now to have a game-given safety car, so the track will stay green. It's less than 0.2 of a second between Jaw and Ayahuasca. We have a car off of the back. Soy Loco. No, and he's taken the polystyrene advertising board with him, and he's lost a front wing. Oh, and Soy Loco is on pace to have a great result here. Oh, yeah, hate to see it, you really do. Let me tell you right now, I don't have favorites on these grids, but when you have a driver that I've commentated on, you know, for pretty much my whole career here in Midwest F1 being a commentator, Soy Loco was there from day one. In fact, I believe he won that first race I did commentate on. It was either him or Scavney, one of the two. But either way, Soy Loco has been there. And so it does hurt a little bit to see something like that happen. But either way, 2 laps to go now as the grid makes their way, exiting La Source up the hill. Jaw here, 0.2 of a second on Ayahuasca as they make their way. Soy Loco is retired in the pits, unfortunately for him, but he has met 90%, so we'll get credit for 12th. Texas Tornado losing 2 spots. Look at Jaw passing the grass! Holy shit, he almost made that work! Well, he's had to cut the chicane there. Apologies for my language, but dearie me. That was almost brilliant, it has to be said. And Jaw, well, I mean, he had to really cut the chicane to make it happen. I think he just outbraked himself, really. He has stayed ahead of Texas Tornado. Manigos here, 0.3 of a second, trying his best. Oh, Ayahuasca 3 seconds a time penalty. So we now have a true battle for that 3rd spot on our hands. Fire Up Flow and Manigos still in position. They will make up some spots here. But I'm curious to see these 3 truly battling for spots now. Texas Tornado in this. Final Flame on 3 seconds, but he's got 3.5 as he starts the final lap of the Grand Prix here. He's got net 3.5 seconds to Fuse Rogue. And now, the battle here to perhaps find the way out of the podium, and I believe even Fire Up Flow and Manigos are in on this as well. Jaw leads the charge here. 3 cars, all on 3 seconds of penalties up the hill through Rouge and Radion. Oh, I tell you what, it looks like Valentine has gotten overtaken by Gab at the back of the grid. Manigos in this. He's going to have to get around Fire Up Flow here if he wants any shot at positions here, and he does. He will get around the Aston Martin temporarily. Jaw gets around Ayahuasca down to the inside. On their way into Lacombe. Through Malmedy. Oh! Off at the wall! Ayahuasca's out of the Grand Prix. Has he had help there, or has he plain lost the car? Oh! How unfortunate do you want it? Because, geez. Heartbreaking stuff for the AlphaTauri. Who, I tell you what, has really impressed me again here today. Despite the result, despite the other DNF, that I'm beginning to believe he really did not have much control over. Yeah, not great. Not great at all. But what I will say is great, Final Flame making his way into the chicane now. He had to work hard to get himself to the lead, but once he got it, there was no giving it back. Final Flame exiting the corner. He will win the Belgian Grand Prix here in Division 3. Round 5 belongs to the Alpine. As Fuse Rogue making his way out of the final corner now. Good result from him. He needed that one. He'll finish second. Jaw, most likely third. Texas Tornado third. I believe Manigos will get that 3rd spot. So the championship leader promoted to 3rd. Fire Up Flow promoted to 4th. Jaw 5th. Texas Tornado 6th. And that's massive for the 2 McLarens, as that is the key battle in the championship right now. Very solid Grand Prix. Well, after it's all said and done, here are your unofficial results of the Belgian Grand Prix. It's Final Flame taking the win. Fuse Rogue second, Manigos third after penalties applied, Fire Up Flow fourth, Jaw fifth, sixth Texas Tornado, seventh Alvarado, eighth is Gonzalez, ninth is Gab, 10th is Valentine. Unfortunately for Ayahuasca and the rest, they did not finish the Grand Prix, and I tell you what, very interesting Grand Prix there. And next week for round 6, we head to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. Hotspot, it's been a pleasure joining you once again here in Division 3. We'll see you next time.